The next paper continues the ethno-historical survey introduced by Mary Kupsch. Brianna Rafidi, whose degree is in linguistics from Arizona State University, will present her paper entitled Soul Concepts of Postcolonial Woodland and Plains Indians 2, a systematic survey of concept metathemes, intercorrelations, and regional traditions.
Hello everyone. Today I will continue the presentation of cross-cultural survey results begun by Mary Kupsch in the last paper. Our aim is to systematize historic woodland and plains Indians' ideas about souls for area-wide, regional, and local tenets. This presentation will focus on the final 4 of the 9 variables in our survey. The research I am presenting was a team effort that involved myself, Mary Kupsch, and Christopher Carr. As Mary mentioned, we surveyed literatures for concepts of souls held by 43 woodland tribes and plains tribes originally from the woodlands. These 43 tribes encompassed 5 language families and 4 language isolates. The geographic distribution of the tribes, shown here, is well balanced. Some of the more comprehensive ethno-historical source materials we surveyed are the Bureau of American Ethnology's annual reports and bulletins, Adair's History of the American Indians, Schoolcraft's Archives of Aboriginal Knowledge, Blair's Indian Tribes of the Upper Mississippi and Great Lakes, the Jesuit Relations, and the Human Relations Area Files. We also included references from the extensive bibliographies of religious studies scholar Ake Holkrantz. Our sample consists of 632 cases, from which we recorded verbatim textual information on each of 9 topics. The resulting 186 variable states were studied for their relative frequencies and geographic distributions, as well as how they contextually related to one another across the northeastern woodlands, southeastern woodlands, and plains. The 4 variables on which I focus here are the qualities and capabilities of souls while an individual is alive, the qualities and capabilities of souls after an individual dies, the functions and activities of souls in the body, and the functions or activities of souls after leaving the body. This voluminous information is most easily presented and grasped as 10 themes that we derived from the data. These suites of interrelated characteristics we refer to as metathemes. After reporting on these metathemes, I will then describe some key intercorrelations among the 5 variables that Kupsch presented in the previous paper, and provide some insights into regional traditions of soul concepts. The 10 metathemes are as follows. First, souls were linked by the majority of tribes to life or existence. They were said to give the body life, to be associated with breath, and even to continue to exist after death. Only a few exceptional cases reported souls to be mortal and to die or decay after death. Second, souls were commonly held to retain attributes of the living individual even in death, such as by taking the form of a body that resembles the living individual. The afterlife was envisioned by most tribes to be like this life, with souls having the same needs as living persons. Our third major finding is Woodland and Plains Indians' very frequent recognition of the existence of ghosts. The idea of ghosts expresses the notion of continuity of forms and personalities after death, similar to the idea of a lifelike afterlife. Significantly, ghosts were commonly feared rather than welcomed by the living. Fear was manifested in the regular concern of the living for the whereabouts and activities of ghosts. Fourth, almost universally stated is the capability of souls to move in and out of the physical body and to journey. Journeying occurs both in life during dreaming and trance, and in death during the passage to an afterlife, as well as in the many activities of ghosts. The activities of ghosts include lingering with the body, haunting, harming and helping the living, and causing disease or death. Fifth, souls were seen as willful agents, capable of affecting one's own body, other bodies, the living, and the natural world in both life and death. For example, one's soul might make oneself ill or harm another. Sixth, souls are described as desirous, emotional, rational and irrational, free-acting, and temptable, like living humans. They could be hurt, afflicted, and comforted. These internal experiences of souls were responsible in part for their own agency. Seventh, souls were said to communicate in both life and death. In life, they directed and advised through the dreams they caused and other means. In both life and death, they communicated between the living and the dead. Eighth, souls also varied in morality. In both life and death, souls were said to be good or malicious, and feared or companionable. For some tribes, the quality of a soul's existence after death depended on its morality during its life. Yet, ninth, the power of souls after death does not seem to have been at issue because power is reported rarely. Souls were said to be broken, weary, and weak as often as powerful. The importance that historic Woodland and Plains Indians placed on acquiring prestige and power in life was not necessarily connected with the power of one's soul. We suspect that power in life was seen as obtained instead from helping animal spirits of the individual or one's clan. 10th, and finally, in life and death, souls were held to be material by some tribes, immaterial by others, and occasionally both. Souls were said to be visible, to have weight, and to affect and be affected by the material world. The idea of physical souls described here contrasts with the Western characterization of them as ethereal. Next, I discuss two major intercorrelations between variables. Both relationships are essential to the archaeological case of Scioto Hopewell peoples, reported in the next presentation by Heather Smythe and a later one by Christopher Carr. The first relationship we investigated is between the number of souls in the body and the fates of those souls at death. The ethnohistorical data pattern in several ways. Generally, regardless of how many souls are said to compose an individual, one soul travels or attempts to travel to an afterlife, sooner or later after death. More narrowly, when one soul is recognized, it is also said to go to an afterlife at or around the time of death. When two souls were recognized and the fates of both souls are stated, one soul is always said to go to an afterlife, while the second soul remains in this existence. The activities of this second soul frequently included staying in the vicinity of the body, grave, or graveyard, or becoming a ghost that wanders around the village or earth. Occasionally, the second soul continues to reside in the body permanently, or dies when the body dies. The Plains Dakota and Hidatsa and the southeastern Woodland Cherokee and Yuchi all had 4 soul systems. Each soul had a different destiny. In the Dakota case, at death, one soul went south or west to an afterlife. One remained by the body and protected it. A third died with the body or hovered over its native village. And the fourth, associated with the hair, was bundled by mourners and thrown into enemy territory, where it was said to inflict disease and death on foes. The second intercorrelation we explored is between the bodily locations of souls and their functions, activities, and qualities. These findings are more tentative because data on soul locations are sparse. Almost always, either the head or the heart, depending on the tribe, was attributed characteristics of the free soul of consciousness, intelligence, emotions, desires, dreaming, and travel to an afterlife at death. Giving life was also attributed to the soul located in the heart, but also the soul equated with breath. Souls thought to reside in the bones, skeleton, and/or marrow were said to remain in the bones after death, and were never said to journey, go to a land of the dead, communicate, be responsible for the intellect, or give life. Therefore, historic Woodland and Plains Indians experienced almost a complete segregation of characteristics of souls held to reside in the head or heart from those of souls resident in the bones, skeleton, and/or marrow. Interestingly, souls said to be malicious, be feared, be carnivorous, to harm the living, to haunt, and/or to cause disease were known to reside in a wide diversity of bodily locations: the heart, blood, bones, marrow, nape of the neck, and bundles of hair, but not in the head or breath. The last topic I wish to address is the existence of regional traditions. These are suites of tribes from an area that shared a fair number of soul ideas that were fully or largely restricted to them. Regionalized ontological knowledge is most evident for northeastern woodlands tribes, in part due to the large quantity of literature on that area. Northeastern tribes generally placed a large focus on the head. The head, skull, or brain was said to be the seat of a soul. The head, face, and breath were recognized as places or vehicles of bodily exit of a soul. The idea of an otherworldly person who extracted the brain of a deceased individual's soul during its journey to an afterlife was also limited to tribes of the Northeast. The notion that souls reside in one's bones, their marrow, or the skeleton was restricted to specifically the lower Great Lakes subregion, complementing the idea of a second soul located in the head. Northeastern tribes' ontologies also dwelled on the form and materiality of the soul, and the idea that one soul leaves the body at or around the time of death, and another stays in the body or near the grave. The tribes had complex notions about the functioning of souls in communication, dreaming, and advising the self. For example, the Iroquois held that the wishes of the so-called intelligent soul in the head were expressed through an individual's dreams, which she or he and the community helped to fulfill. The Southeast was the sole region with tribes that thought the breath was the seat of the soul and the anus a place of its exit. A cluster of 5 Plains tribes held that an individual has 4 souls that all meet different fates. However, the southeastern Cherokee and Yuchi also recognized humans to have 4 souls. Soul concepts were shared considerably among tribes of the northeastern woodlands, southeastern woodlands, and plains, suggesting much interaction between tribes. A third of all variable states reported, 60 of 186, were found commonly in the woodlands and plains and were shared among all 3 regions or 2 of them. Significantly, the shared ideas include some of the most fundamental ontological concepts: souls being associated with breath and life, the number of souls an individual has, the number of souls that leave the body at death, the ability of souls to journey, and souls being desirous and having agency, to name a few. Sharing of soul concepts was more frequent between tribes of the Northeast and Southeast than between these tribes and those of the Plains. This geographic pattern of sharing and interaction has also been found by another researcher for stellar myths and their motifs, but not for historic narratives about soul journeys to afterlives, a pattern described in this symposium in a later presentation by Christopher Castledine. This presentation, in conjunction with the paper given by Mary Kupch, are offered with the aim of familiarizing archaeologists with the broadly varied soul concepts held by historic woodland and woodland-derived Plains Indians. I have presented major meta-themes derived from native narratives across the entire survey area, such as souls being willful agents. I have also described some important intercorrelations among variables, such as how the different functions and activities of souls correlate with where they are located in the body, and have summarized some geographic clusters of traits that indicate regional traditions. It is our hope that these understandings will figure into more native-sensitive archaeological reconstructions of ancestral pre-contact woodland Indian peoples, their chosen social, political, religious, ritual, and economic patterned actions and material creations, and their underlying culture-specific motivations for their actions and productions.